Hello and welcome once again to another edition of Felixstowe Matters. Now, as usual, we try to bring you bits of news and things that are going on, and today I've got with me Allison. Now, Allison is one of our volunteers, a very valuable volunteer. She works both for the radio station and for the television station, and she covers events. So welcome to you, Alison. It's nice to have you.
Hello, Eric.
Nice to have you with us.
Yes.
Now, you've just come from the Suffolk show. So
Yes.
tell me a little bit about the Suffolk show.
The traffic show was one of your biggest events in the year. Yeah.
Yes.
And on the sort of politics side of it,
Yes.
it's quite saddened that I found out that the agricultural side of things
Yes.
have fallen somewhat. One to do with the weather change
Yes.
that we've had recently. We haven't had the right weather for certain produce.
Yes.
Right. So therefore, there's been less produce within the industry, within distribution.
So the crops have fallen because of the weather. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and but obviously now things like flowers and crop and stuff like that.
Yes.
It's now the time people are planting doing their gardens
Yes.
and things like that. So
Were there a lot of exhibitors this
there
year?
there was, but we didn't go. I didn't really see much there at Felixstowe, where me and Anne was talking about this on Thursday.
Yes.
And she tried to film some stands that were from Felixstowe, but we didn't really see much.
Now, we have already got something up on our site about the show, haven't we?
We have, yes. We've got it's about edited 15-20 minutes footage.
Oh, that's good.
Of where I got, remember the old, you probably remember the old steam engines.
Oh,
the
yes,
old,
yes.
that used to do the water and stuff.
Yes.
Pump the water
Yes.
and renovate the water and things.
Yes.
Well, there was two guys there that I spoke to and took a video footage.
Yes.
Who really sort of talked about they're mainly like collectors, and they're like engineers originally, and they were talking about they renovate them and all that sort of thing, and they talk about them, what they used to do and things like that.
Yes.
Before we've had now the present day now, like you have your reheating and your electric
Yes.
at home.
Yes.
Before it was all sort of a steam.
Well, that's
A thing in the past, in the
Yeah.
history side of.
So we've got that on site.
Yeah,
so
bits
people will
like
be able to
that.
look at
Yeah, and
That's good, yes.
then we had people like from the 4x4 volunteers. There's about 168 volunteers that have these Land Rovers.
Oh, yes.
And
So
they
there were a lot
help
of
out.
They had a lot of Land Rovers.
And they had they built their own little humps and stuff
Oh, yes.
within
they're
a little
actually,
course.
They're actually doing it.
And we actually went inside and we filmed inside one of the vehicles.
Did you? That must have been
And
fun.
and how careful he went
Yes, I
in
bet you are.
different conditions, and he was
Yeah.
talking about they helped in the snow when we have the snow
Yes,
winter.
Yes.
How good they play their game.
Yes. Yes.
So that was very interesting to
Yes.
know, and they're all volunteers.
Yes. And was the show packed out?
It was packed. Yes,
Yes.
it was packed.
It's just for 2 days, isn't it?
It was for
Yes,
2 days.
yes.
I mean, you had it varied from artwork to agriculture. You even had the army there.
Yes.
They had one.
Did they have the Air Force with the planes going over this year?
They didn't have the planes,
didn't,
no,
oh,
but
yeah.
they had an helicopter which was all kitted out for
Yeah.
weaponry.
Yes.
And obviously, because the way that the security is as far as military and
Yeah.
and things online and stuff like
Yeah.
that, there was only a certain amount of interview or their answers they would allow me to film with.
So it sounds as though you enjoyed yourself.
We did. Yes,
That's
it
good.
was. It was very interesting.
Now, we're going to talk a bit later on about the events, because you cover all the events
Yes,
for us, thank
yes,
goodness.
yes,
You do a
yes.
great job, radio and television,
Yes,
because
yes.
you both come under the same umbrella, as
Of
you
course.
know. But what I wanted to talk about, so people know something about you. How long have you lived in Felixstowe now?
At the moment now, it's between 6 to 7 years I've been in
6 to 7
Felixstowe.
years, so it's not all that
7
time.
years, no.
And do you enjoy it?
I do enjoy it. I mean, it's sad about certain things that we've lost.
What have we lost?
Well, like the Spa Pavilion. I mean,
Oh, that's sad.
I
yes,
mean,
yes.
the council do say about it's all about the funding. There's no money, but I mean, if they get their statistics together,
Yeah.
you've got big companies down the dock, yeah, they could put in, because it'll be good for them with their tourism.
Yes,
right.
Yes, yes.
And that you could turn that into, say, a sort of an exhibition centre,
Yeah.
or something for schools where they can do
Yes.
drama or something like that, or whether it's for different companies that want to connect with different companies.
Yeah.
Now it's all about who you know. They can do trade shows there, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you know, the reason why they shut in the first place, because not a lot of people went to the theatre in the first place.
But I understand, I don't know how right this is, that one of the reasons why they didn't have all the shows was they couldn't get the scenery in. You know, apparently modern shows have all this scenery, and you have to have the backstage, you have to have the entry so that they can get the scenery in. Because we couldn't do that, we haven't had all the people on the ordinary circuit. Whether that's accurate or not, I don't know. But I will say that the council is very good, and I know they're investigating a number of possibilities, and hopefully we're all going to get pleasantly surprised.
Well, things like that, they could have linked within the colleges and schools, and they could have done that within their artwork.
Yeah. Well, one big advantage, I must say, I know it's going off at a tangent, is that the young lady who used to run the spa, she's volunteering to come and help us with our television. And
that's good to know.
So I'm seeing her this week, so maybe we'll be able to get some really inside information.
Right, well, that would be good to know.
Which would be very good, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
But, so you've been 6 years in Felixstowe.
Yes.
It's a lovely little place. What's your sort of main impression of it?
Well, the main impression is, obviously, you know, you've got the coastline. It's good. I mean, I like cycle riding myself.
Yes.
So you can, you know, I mean, I've gone from, say, my house, which is sort of the other end of Felixstowe.
Yes.
And I go down towards the ferry, and then go along the actual up past where the Gulf is.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, on the coastline. And then cycle along right towards where the spa is, and then towards the leisure centre.
Oh, the facilities.
And then up towards Garrison Lane and back.
Now, since you've been in Felixstowe, I hear you've had your own little business.
Yes.
Doing mending computers and web pages and things.
Yeah,
like that.
I get quite a few friends. Started off with friends I know and people I used to know. I'm mainly sort of in Ipswich.
Yeah.
Because I've done different courses and things like that, and linked with a lot of student and pub and club bands and musicians in Ipswich.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of thing where people don't really get that full end understanding of when they buy one, say in PC World.
Yeah.
Because before, I remember about 8-9 years ago, you could get a PC specifically of what you want yourself, what your expectations are, what you need.
Yeah.
Now they give you the bare minimum.
I see.
So therefore, you get the situations on people understanding on how they load up software and stuff like that, or they load up their PC with all their videos or pictures or things like that, and they wonder why their PC don't work properly because they've got too much stuff on it. It's a bit like a watering can. You put too much water in it, it's going to overflow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's little things like that, and of course there are now magazines that you know, like Which, you know, they've got things for people, give people a bit more understanding on how to do the maintenance and things like that. But so it's all about knowledge.
What did you do before you came to Felixstowe, Allison?
Before I come to Felixstowe, I was working in the music industry, in publishing.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. It all started off when I was
publishing in the music industry. What do you mean by that?
Well, what I used to do is that, like, one thing used to be sort of write-ups of a concert.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Or if you had a sort of the VIP pass, people within the industry, and someone from old school that used to be well known, and then they sort of fall down the wayside, and then they want to come back up and do a sort of small little set.
So it's publicity, really.
There was publicity, yes. So therefore, you were sort of you're promoting a band that had their downfall, and you're trying to bring them back up to speed. So you give them like how the concert went, you give them the reviews on how it was, what people liked about it, what was the best sort of songs that came out, whether the stage lighting was good, whether the sound was great, certain guitarists, how they played, drummer and solos and stuff like that, the ambience of the audience and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you get the pictures right, with the lighting and things like that, and you put that within the articles.
I see. Isn't that interesting? How long did you do that, Allison?
Well, I did that for about sort of 4 or 5 years previously.
Yes.
And they're really good.
Yes. What did you do to that? Because you had a very exciting bit. You've been into Buckingham Palace, I understand.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Originally was I got hold of this company called they were called Stage Miracles.
Oh yes.
And they used to give people contract work.
Oh yes.
And you'll be sort of helping them doing the stage work, so therefore you'll be as you're sort of making sure the microphone, because I did a course in London at the Paddington and Westminster College.
Oh yeah.
Right, which is all about sound engineering and all that sort of thing. So that gave me a bit of the insight of doing those things. So when you see something like Phil Collins, for example, and he's doing his rehearsal for the gig of say, the Band-Aid, for example. There was one in '85, and then they did another one.
Yes.
Yeah. So therefore, when they're sort of doing their slot, they're doing their and you making sure that all the miprophones that are all under the drum set, and making sure the monitors, the big square boxes that you see on the front of the stage, stuff like that.
Yes.
And then you have what they call the clusters, where they have like 6 or 7 clusters that are all sort of married together in the middle above.
This is lighting.
No, this is to do with sound.
Oh, sound. I see.
Sound.
Yes,
where you see normally about 6 or 7 speakers all around
I see what you mean.
with each other above the head.
Oh, I see. Yes.
So it's the directional of the speakers, so everyone in the crowd can hear a level sound all over wherever it is.
Interesting.
Yes, that's how it works.
So how many years did you do that, Allison?
In a while, I did that for a good 7, 8 years.
Did you really?
Yeah.
So tell me some of the groups you've worked with, or
some of the groups you work with. I mean, you've had at the Buckingham Palace, you had Carmen. They had the classical stuff they had in the evening. During the day, it was all pop.
Yes.
But come the evening, they had all like Carmen. They had one or two of the tenors.
Gosh.
To name but a few.
Yes.
But no, you brush with quite a few.
You must have done like that.
People.
Yes.
And it was all, of course, this is the thing where you, like you were saying earlier about the 2 other tech guys that we have here.
Yes.
And it's all about, knowledge and experience and all that sort of thing.
Yes.
And it does tune you in, because I love media.
Yes.
I enjoy it.
You enjoy it.
Yes, I enjoy it.
So this is why you came promptly and volunteered for the radio and television here.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, you see, it's a platform. It's a good tool, because I see people and young guys that that want to do a band, or they want to sort of try and get noticed. I mean, there was one guy I know in Ipswich. He's a brilliant songwriter.
Oh yes.
But he doesn't go the edge. He doesn't have any understanding on how to publicise himself, how to motivate himself. I says, well, why don't we go to your house, do a backdrop of a wall, right? Do what you do, a few or 3 numbers, put some spotlighting together, coloured lighting, right?
Yes.
And then we'll do maybe 3 or 4 numbers, like you would do an EP.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Then we'll take some video footage.
Yes.
Then once we edit the video, you put with it your Twitter or your, your phone mobile number or your email address to run along as it's going along.
Yes.
And then you plumb that up on YouTube, or this new thing they've got now is SoundCloud.
SoundCloud, I haven't heard of
SoundCloud. SoundCloud is like you have, you've got your video file, right? But it's just obviously the audio file.
I see, yes.
And a lot of people use it within the industry where they can flip their music or track
I see, yeah.
So if it's be it for a radio jingle, or whether it's going to go for what they call buffers that you get in the beginning of a film and an end of a film.
I see, yes.
For advertising.
Yes.
So they have that. So a lot of people like Radio 1, they use it a lot.
Yes.
For their promotional things and all that. So it's like a kind of a social network for people in the music industry.
Well, we're going to try and have some evening programs, evening programs. This is a wonderful opportunity for you to bring this young man along, up to the studio here, do it as a show, and it will be a tremendous advantage for him, and it will really interest our viewers.
Well, well, that's it. That's the idea.
And not only that, of course, but we can take the sound off and use it on the radio. So he's got all of that available, and that, of course, is available for anyone in Felixstowe.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're a community activity, and we want to publicise these people.
I mean, I have heard the only place that bands that have in Felixstowe is this one called the Cork Bar. Down by Bent Hill.
Oh, yes.
But apparently I've heard it's not a very good reputation.
We don't say anything like that. We mustn't put anything over which we don't know the facts of. But, I think anywhere where bands can be encouraged, where talent can be improved, it must be good for the town, mustn't it?
Yes, yes.
So, well, at any rate, there's an opportunity, and I hope that somebody out there will like to come along and volunteer to help us with our evening programs, because the evening programs now will be great fun. They'll go out live, and we're hoping to start those within the next 2 or 3 weeks. So there's an opportunity. Let your friend be one of the first people to do it.
Well, it's not just one. I've got a fair few. I mean, there's one guy I know who used to be originally when they first line up, Aswad, the reggae band.
Yes.
He's now a health and safety officer at one of the training program places in Ipswich.
Yes.
And he now runs 3 bands. He's got a 9-piece band, reggae band, which they do mainly covers from, Bob Marley and a few other reggae artists. He's got a youth steel band that every year he's been trying to get into the Felixstowe Carnival and hasn't. But hopefully this year he reckons he's got a chance of getting into it.
Well,
there's quite a lot.
Float.
There's quite a lot of them, and we've gone to different gigs and these caravan parks where they have the evening entertainment. So we've done a whole thing, because I used to have a van, and that we used to all load everything up and then go off and do their gigs. And other children that have come to it that have been quite well within 2-3 years of it being set up.
Yes.
Some of them are really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did you do before you went into the music industry?
Before I was in the music industry, I used to do a lot of things like driving jobs, things like with the fish industry.
Fish industry?
Yeah.
What did you do with the fish
industry? There was a small Greek guy I used to know in London, and he's just a small little company. But we used to get up at about very, very early in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, yes.
He used to take me down to Billingsgate Fish Market.
Oh, yes, yes.
It was very amazing to see, that was my experience of seeing how the fish and how you get it from the wholesalers and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it was really, really cheap for the quantity that you get.
Yeah. So you actually worked in Billingsgate Fish
Market? No, it wasn't to do with that. We used to get the fish, and then he has somebody else in his kitchen part where they will, because you will have to gut it.
Yes,
and this will all be prepared for restaurants.
Oh, I see.
And hotels.
And he used to.
And then he'll have a driver, and he'll come. I'll go with him. And then we'll be going around from people like all around the west side of thing, from Mayfair to like where all the Arabs are in Queensway.
Yes.
To all the sort of all around all the people with rich areas and all in the West End.
Oh yes.
In London.
Fascinating.
And the fish and stuff like that they have. It was really fresh,
Yeah.
and it was all done, ready, all fresh every day.
Wonderful. So you're a London girl then?
Yes, I am.
And what part of London?
Originally from Croydon.
Croydon.
But, yes, Croydon. But then I moved up sort of West London, Ealing.
Yeah.
And then the last place I ended up was in Enfield.
Enfield.
Yeah.
I don't know the Enfield area.
Enfield, which is
That's
North
London, isn't
North,
it?
which
Yeah.
is like on the tippy top of
Yeah.
the M25.
But it's a bit of a jungle now, I understand.
It is now, in a way, because since they all before the congestion charge.
Yes.
I mean, it was great, but then it was, very clogged up in the morning rush hour traffic
Yes.
and things like that. And then when it came in, I got rid of a car and decided to get one of these scooters.
Oh yes, yes.
And that was fine until recently. The mayor, they did
Should have switched that off before.
switched it off. Yeah.
It proves we're live.
It proves me live.
Yeah.
That shouldn't really happen. I didn't know whether they're going to call me at that point.
I see.
Anyway,
Yeah.
And yes,
You were saying about the
they're
congestion
saying about
charge.
the congestion
Yeah.
charge, and they're getting us. Everyone all went onto two wheels then,
Yes.
thinking they'll get out of it. But
Yeah.
only recently, they now stopped motorcyclists and scooters within the bus lanes
Oh yes.
now.
Yes.
So everyone now, it's just every loophole that people try to do to get round the situation.
Yes.
The council seems to have a thing to put a dampener on it,
Yes. Oh,
So in a way, I'm glad that I've came here, because you don't have that.
what
problem.
made you pick Felixstowe?
Well, it's the fact that the last thing I was doing was I set up where they had the Mercury 1-to-1. It was now known as T-Mobile.
Oh yes, yes,
This was kind of like 3 years ago.
yes.
No, 4 years ago. And I had a little unit in Elephant and Castle shopping centre in London.
Was it shopping unit?
In the shopping unit.
I see,
Yeah,
yes.
like a sort of like you would have like a desk, and it will be all glass around. It will
Yes.
be a sort of little cubicle,
I
but
see.
it will be like a little shop.
Yeah, see, what were you
Unit.
selling there then?
And what it was when T-Mobile before was bought by an American company,
Yes.
but it used to be known as a Mercury 1-to-1
I see.
a while ago.
Yes.
Do you remember when it used to be free? They had this thing where it was free calls from 7 p.m. till 7 in the
I
morning.
don't remember that.
Yeah, and they had this. They brought it out, and they really lost money over it
It would
after a
have
few
done,
years.
yes,
After
yes.
that time, that was when they first did it.
Yes.
But it exploded with people when mobile phones first started, right? First started to get small, because before
Yeah.
they used to be big bricks.
Oh, yes. Well, I had one of the first ones. It was that
Yes.
big, and I had to have a strap over my shoulder.
Yes,
to
exactly.
carry it.
Yes, exactly. So I used to do them, but there was a lot of reputation, bad reputation within that shopping centre, and that really killed it off, because it was a notorious area for that there, and there was a bad incident that happened there. And
What happened?
well, it was like, you've got like all these shopping centres, you've got your security hang around there, and they do what they have to do. And then next minute they're all running from all over the place, chasing after this person.
Goodness,
right?
yes.
This was near Christmas,
Yes,
where
yeah,
everyone's
yeah.
all sort of gearing up for Christmas.
Yes,
It's just before the sort of last week before everything stops,
yes, yes,
before Christmas Eve, that sort of thing.
yes.
And we have next door to us was Superdrug, right? And they were chasing this guy. All of a sudden, he goes into Superdrug. Next minute, it was all quiet there, and a load of people coming around. It was all like as if someone famous walked in there, and
Yeah.
everyone's all wanting to have a look.
Yes.
And it turned. Then next minute, the ambulance came.
Yeah.
And then when we see this person being wheeled out, he had, like these seam scissors.
Oh yes, yes.
He had it embedded in his chest.
Oh no. Who done that?
Well, apparently the person who they were chasing
Yes.
obviously was being found out that he was stealing
Yes.
or robbing. They will obviously try to run and get away. Went to Superdrug, and then some obviously staff there tried to grab him,
Yes.
and he injured this person who worked
Oh
there.
dear. So this.
And you know, it really put everyone that went into that shopping centre, it really put a home on how bad, notorious the area was.
The area's got gangs and things like
Yes.
that as well. It's very.
Yes.
As parts of London are a real jungle, people don't realise
Oh,
it,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Well, I mean, you know, that close to Christmas. I
Yeah.
mean, that poor guy. He's you don't know whether he's going to survive or not.
Well, but there's far worse incidents than that in London.
Yeah.
And it all goes by the postal codes. Apparently the gangs all keep to postal codes.
Yeah.
And they've got guns and knives, and some of it's out of control. But the police do a grand job trying to suppress it, but it's very difficult. So that made you feel you wanted to leave London.
Well, it weren't just that. It's the fact that then on after, I know it was just after Christmas and New Year and the start of the new year. It's quite generally, but the actual ambience of the place dropped rapidly.
Yes.
And people were losing a lot of trade.
Yes. But anyway, so you chose Felixstowe.
Yeah.
Now, you've been a valuable asset to us for a long time now, for both the radio and television. You cover all the events.
Yeah.
And we've got a few minutes left now. I don't know whether you can tell us about some of the events which are coming up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got at the moment on today that would have just started from 10:30 this morning.
Yes.
We had down at the seafront, there's a health walk.
Health walk?
Health walk, yes. This is all to do with the live Live Well Suffolk .co.uk.
Yes.
Right. And anyone won't be interested in that.
So if anybody wants to
they're actually starting in 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
If anyone is watching this who want to go down to the leisure centre, they're doing 2.25 miles.
Yes.
Along the prom.
Yes.
Admission free, and anyone that might be interested or want to find out, they want to call 01.
Oh, I think it's a bit late now.
To do that.
So right. Yes, carry on.
But anyway, down at the leisure centre, that's what's happening today. Yeah. And then on the 7th, we have.
When's the 7th? Today.
The 7th will be a Friday.
Friday, yes.
Yeah.
This Friday.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have a guy called Mike Todd in Curtin that's going to do 5-mile race in Curtin, starting from the recreational ground.
Oh yes.
Long established an annual 5-mile road race and a fun run.
Yes.
Part of the summer 5 series. The race HQ and the events start at Curtin Playing Field on the back road.
At what time does it start?
Well, that's from 7 o'clock in the evening. That is.
Oh, so Friday evening, if anybody wants to go along to that.
So they've got the road runners. They got £10 for the club runners, and then £12 for those unattached, and a run club entry via their website, which is www.frr.org.uk.
Well, there's something for you runners.
There you go. They're the latest things that's coming up this week.
Yes.
That's going on, and then prior to that,
do you know what's on at the cinema?
At the cinema at the moment, you've got that Gillespie.
Gillespie, tell me about
the Gillespie is about some chap that I think it's based in the 1940s.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
It's like a sort of kind of a musical gangster thriller type
that's interesting.
movie.
Based in England or America?
America.
In America. That's interesting, yes.
Yeah, and
because the cinema has been refurbished.
Oh, yes.
It's looking very nice, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I do put I do the trailers on YouTube of what films are, so people get a snippet.
That's good.
And I put it on the website as well.
That's good. Yes, I hope so. That's one of the things. Well, it's been fascinating having you. It's one of your first times, I think, actually, in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And thank you for all you do, Allison.
Brilliant.
And keep us informed with these events.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've learned something. Now, when you read the events on our site, please remember it's Allison who puts them there. Thanks for watching, and good luck, and God bless you all.
Okay, bye.